Finland is getting a new king. And apparently that means we all get a new quiche recipe. I'll be real, that's not that exciting. But taking that recipe, tweaking it, changing it, morphing it, and turning it into this, that's kind of exciting. How's it going, chasers? I hope you're having a kick-ass week. I'm Jesse, this is Still It, and today I took the Coronation Quiche recipe and used it as inspiration / a base to make a ginsynth, a absinthe. I don't know what to call it. It's kind of a mashup of Coronation Quiche, absinthe, and gin. It is pretty delicious, but it absolutely shines when you make a cocktail with it. All right, so the first ingredient we need is alcohol, which has nothing to do with quiche, but it is the key to everything we're gonna do. We need 2 litres at 55% ABV. I'm gonna use half kale wash and half of Alan Bishop's brandy sugar wash. There'll be links to all of these things down in the description below and anything else in the video like this that pops up. Please guys, feel free to mix and match and use whatever you have on hand or what you think is appropriate. I love the idea of this recipe being morphed and changed and transforming into what fits your pantry or what fits your taste. So please guys, do that. Now, we need botanicals. This is where the inspiration from the Coronation Quiche comes in. Coronation Quiche is essentially a quiche, funnily enough, with spinach, broad beans, and it's been flavoured with tarragon. We're going to leave the pastry out of this until snack time. The eggs we're going to come back to later on. The spinach and the broad beans are going to play a big role, but not quite yet. The first thing I want to focus on is the tarragon and kind of building a ginny, absinthe base around this. So we're going to need to measure out 7 grams of dried tarragon, 15 grams of wormwood, 10 grams of fennel, 15 grams of anise, 20 grams of uncrushed juniper, 10 grams of juniper that's been crushed lightly in a pestle and mortar, 15 grams of crushed coriander, 10 grams of lemon zest, and 1.4 grams of Angelica Root. I'm going to treat these botanicals a little bit more like an absinthe than a gin. So to do that, we're going to heat the alcohol up to 55 degrees Celsius. That's this in Fahrenheit. Put all of the botanicals in. Make sure you turn the power off. You do not want to be sad and mess this up by forgetting that step. Pop the cover back on and let it sit for 3 hours. Once the 3 hours is up, it's time to distill. Ideally, you're going to distill on the botanicals. You can get a little creative with this. Line the bottom of the still with mason jars, have a muslin bag to sort of hold the botanicals in. If you can't work that out, strain them all out and distill without the botanicals. You'll get some of the effect, probably not quite as much. Now it's time to fire the still up, let it warm up, and wait for first drips. We have first drips. The still is up to temperature and I've taken off maybe 15, 20 mils. And I'm thinking, most things like this, I'm not cutting for the alcohol. The alcohol is already cut pretty damn well. What I'm cutting for now is just purely, I don't know, there's a weird botanical thing at the beginning of the run. It's kind of like too botanically and kind of, I don't know, potpourri-like, if that makes sense. Oh, we're getting real close now. That's it. All right. Switch, that's what I'm looking for. Hold on, I'll measure this for you and tell you how much that is, just in case you care. I've recently stocked up on syringes because they're getting old and nasty, and I've got 60s, 20s, 10s, and 5s all on hand, and they're new syringes that actually, oh, that feels so good. Loving syringe life now. Anyway, easy way to measure this sort of thing. 30 mils, 29.5 mils. In case you really care. Let me put these away. Now, honestly, guys, there's not a whole lot to do during this run. I'm just gonna let it tick away because we're gonna collect this all the way down until we stop. There's nothing to do in between. I have a pretty good idea of how much we're gonna collect too, because it's a small run and you know the parameters are pretty tight on this. But if you haven't done so, I know I say this every time in a video like this, stand by the still and taste as it goes by because it is one of the best ways to quickly get it into our thick skulls. How quickly flavors can change on a still. It is always fun to do that, but I will catch you near the end of the run. Turns out I had to end up doing dad things yesterday afternoon / last night. So I shut this down and restarted it again today. No big deal with that. Like, you just turn the still off, let it stop dripping, and then when you turn it back on again, just check. You might need to take a wee bit off the top. It might taste a little bit funny, and then carry on like a normal run. But I'm getting to the point now where I think I'm probably gonna make that switch here. It's not bad, I'm not getting tails or anything like that. It's just starting to taste like the end of a botanical run to me, where you kind of get to the point where you're just not getting anything that beneficial from the botanicals anymore. It just kind of peters out. It's not horrible. You could keep it if you wanted to. I'm gonna guess that we're in the 50 to 60% ABV range now. One, because it just kind of tastes like that and feels like it. And two, that's generally where I find you know, the sweet spot for tails cut in a botanical or an absinthe style run to be. Whatever, I'm gonna make the cut now, but I will take a sample off screen and you will know here what it happens to be when I know. The last little bit that came off the still, I'm ditching. The bit where I decided where I was gonna make the cuts, I'm gonna keep. Now, we're gonna treat this a little bit more like a absinthe than a gin, which means I'm gonna put some color on it, and it is gonna give me an excuse to use the spinach and the beans, which are in the Coronation Quiche recipe. I've got 1.4 liters here. So, what's that? Let's go with half of it. 700-ish mils, that's fine by me. And the plan here is I'm gonna empty the still back out again and use the still. Woo! Actually, I should show you, because that is impressive that it hasn't, look how thick that is. And it hasn't just straight up burnt to the bottom of the pot. Crazy. Anyway, let me go and get this cleaned out so we can get half of our spirit heated up again so we can do our colouring maceration. Don't trip. Hey, guess what? The official Chase the Craft shirts have finally landed and we're holding stock. We've bought a bunch of them, which means no more of the weird print-on-demand services. You can buy these directly from the Chase the Craft store. For this first shirt, we decided to go pretty low-key. It's kind of a distillery-style shirt with a logo on the chest and one on the sleeve. So if you're interested, chasethecraft.com. I am going to do another, let me take that out of my ear, it's distracting. Another maceration for a little bit more flavor, but more importantly, probably in this situation, color. And the way we're going to do that is pop it back into this same still. I'm going to plug it in and get it heating up. We're adding for 50 degrees Celsius again. That's this in Fahrenheit. And then we're going to pop in our colouring botanicals here. Now I have 4 grams of fresh tarragon this time around, 6 grams of spinach, and 6 grams of soybeans. Yes, I get it. We're supposed to use broad beans for the recipe, but even the official recipe says use soybeans if you can't get broad beans, because broad beans are going to be hard to get this year. Seems like a dumb thing to put in an official recipe if you already know it's going to... Peace, Jesse. Peace. And 1.5 grams of hyssop. That is all going in here when it reaches 50 degrees Celsius. 49.9, no, 50. So yes, we're good. All of this can go in, and here's the thing, guys. This might be pretty quick for you, so I would suggest not walking away. Remember that we are going to cut this back down with half of the spirit that wasn't, that isn't being macerated, but we've only got half the spirit to cut it down. So this is to taste and to colour preference for you. I would suggest letting it go for about 10 minutes, checking it at that point in time, and I might go up to about 25 minutes. I'm going to see, but let me show you already with my phone is how much colour I've got already, like in literally probably 30 seconds. Make sure the power is off, double check, triple check, You've worked hard for this, you don't want to waste it by letting it disappear. And then I would suggest popping the lid back on, just to cut down on evaporation. I checked it again at 10 minutes, and honestly, it was pretty much the same old story. Here I am again at 15. Color honestly hasn't changed that much. It looks about the same. Flavor is starting to get, it's heading more towards food and less towards like sweet dessert, if that makes sense, which I'm all about for this. I wanted a hint of that savouriness. I don't think it's gone too far yet, but it's starting to push it. So I'm going to give it another 5 minutes. We'll go to 20 minutes and double check. Obviously, all of this is to flavour. So if you don't want to push it that far, if you want to have it more like, you know, what you would think a gin is going to taste like, more like confectionery, less like savoury, do 5 minutes and take it out. I, however, want to push that a little bit and see how far I really want to take it. I will spare you the details and I'll come back when I've decided it's time to yank this out of here. All right, team, we're at 22 minutes in total. Look at that colour. I've decided it's time to get it out of there. Honestly, the flavour hasn't gone bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just getting a little bit too well, no, it's perfect right now. I don't want it to get more savoury. Does that make sense? The colour is kind of intense, not gonna lie. I decided I was gonna proof this to 55% ABV. Sorry for not looking at you, but I don't want to spill this. I decided on the ABV because I did a little test. I proofed this down and kept proofing it until it looshed. It's pretty hot here, so this is probably gonna be maybe 5% lower ABV than it would be if it was cold, but this looshed at 38% ABV. So my thinking is 55 is totally safe. It will not loosh at 55% ABV. It's not as heavy on the botanicals as an absinthe, so I don't have to worry about that. Probably is a bit heavier than the average gin though. And the plan is to drink this in cocktails, not as a neat spirit. So I always like cocktail spirits to be a little bit higher, and then it's up to you what dilution you set them at, if that makes sense, rather than, you know, being at the mercy of the spirit. Anyway, let me get the rest of this into these bottles, and I will come back to you in a few days' time when this is settled down. It's tasting a little bit smoother, a little bit better, a little bit more put together, and we can make a delicious cocktail. That's 1.5 parts lemon juice, 1.5 parts honey syrup, 1:1 honey to water, the white of 1 egg, and 2 parts of our ginsynth. We're going to add all of that into a shaker and give it a dry shake before adding in ice, making a giant freaking mess because I suck with the shaker, and giving it a really, really good shake. Strain it into a coupe glass and top it up with soda water. A couple of dashes of Angelica on top for garnish. We're actually going to upgrade the garnish soon. Give it a pretty little swirl and you're sorted. This stuff is absolutely freaking delicious. So I'll be real with you, Erin. I don't even know whose freaking coronation it is right now. Can you tell me?
It is the king.
Yeah, well, I know that, but who is now the king?
Philip?
Okay, all right. So
wait, is that right?
I don't know.
It's Harry's.
I've got no idea.
It's Harry's dad.
But we did do the thing, and we kind of took the Coronation Quiche recipe and turned it into, I don't even know, like a ginsynth, a absinthe. Absinthe sounds kind of cool.
So glowy.
It is very, 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 very green. Yeah.
So, we should be drinking this on Halloween.
I guess so. Feel free to have a taste, have a smell. Tell me what you think. I'm going to get stuck straight into this cocktail.
That is very fancy for you. It's going to get all, oh.
Mm-hmm.
How did you manage that? This is delicious.
It's pretty good, eh?
Yeah.
It was pretty good. I think it was actually your idea to put the egg in there, seeing as we weren't going to use the egg from the quiche, wasn't it?
Yeah, have the egg on top.
Yeah.
It smells really grassy. It's just my imagination.
I don't know if it's grassy. It kind of smells like food though. Like it smells herby, and it definitely has that like spinachy, soybeany kind of umami, kind of just
like
savory.
the salad mix.
Yeah, like a
mix.
salad mix, yeah.
It smells a lot like frozen, or what's it called when you like cook the spinach?
Wilted spinach?
Wilted. That's it. Wilted.
Oh, we didn't put any cheese anywhere.
Oh.
Having fun drinking by yourself in the dark?
Was it recording?
Yeah. So, there's two other main ingredients to the quiche that I kind of didn't use because let's face it, it probably would have been lame. That was pastry and cheddar cheese. So I figured at least we could have some crackers and aged cheddar.
Yeah, that cheese looks
try with it.
Really good. This is really nice. I feel like you could put like toasted cheese on top of this drink though.
What?
Yeah. Like on the rim.
Oh, like a cheese wafer?
Something. Oh, yes.
I made this again the day after recording this video, and it turns out that Erin is a genius. Cheese crisps are awesome. Would 100% recommend. The cocktail makes the cheese taste sharper, and the cheese brings out the tarragon, funnily enough, in the drink, and it kind of makes it more sweet and licoricey as well.
Nobody would be able to put their finger on it if you served this at a restaurant and tried to ask people to what it was.
You would assume that there's like 12 different liquors in there, right?
Totally.
Or some crazy, like, what do they call it? Shrubs. Or, yeah. I don't know. It's very, very different than anything else I've ever made, anything else I've ever drunk. But it's kind of fun.
It's really good. I would definitely drink it with tonic. I drink absinthe with tonic.
For those of you that don't know, that's Erin's go-to. Erin, like, just whatever it is.
If it's not whiskey, it goes with tonic.
I also do not know what to name this. Both the drink and the cocktail. I kind of wanted to call the cocktail the Stiff Upper Lip. But that's already taken. That's already a cocktail.
Is it actually?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I feel like we have to do a tongue-in-cheek, take the mickey of the English, but in a good, loving, natured way.
How's the weather?
That's not a bad idea. I like it. The name's open, but what do you guys think? Also, we need a name for the spirit itself.
This cocktail is delicious.
It's pretty good.
It's really nice with the cheese.
Like, I wouldn't be angry if I paid $15, $20 for that at a fancy restaurant.
No way. Nobody would be.
Would you say that I've succeeded in this challenge of turning the Coronation Quiche into a spirit? Yeah,
it's delicious. Yes, you succeeded. This was particularly delicious. This is very drinkable with tonic and lime. Yeah, it's awesome.
And didn't you say that the entire point of the Coronation Quiche was to bring the family together? Didn't they like say that officially? I think talking point cocktails like that would bring the family together quite nicely. And give you something to talk about for the rest of the night.
Totally.
And pontificate about.
Nobody's going to forget the time that they made or tasted the quiche.
How's about the weather? Quiche drink thing?
Yeah.
Fair. All right, team, we need to say a giant thank you to... She's not getting better at this, team.
Patreons.
Hey, there we go. And why do we need to say a giant thank you to the Patreons?
For supporting the channel.
Yes.
Keeping the lights on.
Thank you, guys. We really do
busy.
appreciate it. Yeah.